God bless. It's September 2nd, 2025. Please like and share. This is probably the most profound video I've ever produced. Please get it out to Christians, believers, and non-believers alike, because the US dollar has officially collapsed in the United States, and the US government has lost control over the long-standing fiat worthless system, which has now sent our bond market into what many are calling a bond apocalypse, where interest rates are soaring, even though the interest rates are about to be cut by the central bank and the Federal Reserve. Where interest rates are soaring, like the pigs nations collapse. We saw this post 2008 and 09, which was an inside job by the deep state to rip off the American people with multi-trillion-dollar pre-planned inside job, organized taxpayer bailouts that then sent debt spiraling in places like Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain, just to name a few. And now the United States, not on the edge, not on the precipice of disaster, but a full-blown debt bond implosion as we speak. I'm going to break all of this down a whole lot more, but first I want to thank you all. I love you all. You're so amazing. God is great. Jesus Christ is King. And I encourage you, if you have not seen our earth-shattering, life-changing video at school at islandprojectclub.com, I encourage you to click the link below. It is a must watch. I lay out in about 38 minutes life-changing advice. Here, I want to just read what one of my longtime subscribers wrote, because it ain't my words, it's theirs. Tina and her whole family says this: Christopher, we continue to watch your videos daily. You have completely changed our financial lives for the entire family. We appreciate this new video and glad to see it up here for your old friends as well. You've completely changed our financial lives forever. And the list goes on and on. Love you, General. Thank you for all you do. You're the man. Let's go. Thank you for your suggestions and reallocations. And the list goes on and on. It is a must watch. There's so much that I can't say publicly. I hope you understand that. And we go over a full breakdown on the exact cryptos to hold here in September through the remaining of the year. I'm showing you one that's public, but I mention a few others you've never heard about before. And I give you the specific recipe for success. It is literally the difference between making millions of dollars or losing it all. Folks, very few understand even what they're looking at in the financial system. And I remind you that I have been in this space my entire life. I was graduated top of my class with honors. I was the #1 highest paid hire at Merrill Lynch when I was like 19, 20 years old, dominated as a broker, lived through the 2008 and 09 crisis. I was a Wall Street guy, so I know what I'm talking about. For those of you that don't know my full story, I went rogue in about 2008 and 09, exposing the deep state and their Machiavellian operation and actual designed intention to collapse the US financial system and steal most of the baby boomers' wealth. For those of you old enough to remember, that was just one big racketeering scam by the deep state. They crashed the whole system based on their own fraud of derivatives and securitization of debt and mortgages, and then they dumped the hot potato and the bag on you, ripping off trillions of dollars in retirement accounts, financial assets. And I saw this from the inside. See, I saw what these companies did, like Bankrupt of America and Merrill Lynch. I saw what they do, how they hose their customers, how they destroyed people's lives. And for those of you that don't know, I saved a lot of people a lot of money because I was on a warpath, honestly. I warned everyone, family members, all my clients. I was managing hundreds of millions of dollars at the time in my 20s. Again, top of my class with honors, biggest hire at Merrill Lynch. When I was a young man, told everybody to get out. I was warning, saying it was going to be the worst financial crisis you'd ever seen. Right about the time Bear Stearns collapsed, and Jim Cramer told you to buy it, I was telling everyone to get out, run for the hills. It's going to be a disaster. Days, weeks later, of course, we saw the cascading events of Lehman Brothers. U.S. congressmen warned of martial law in the streets of the United States. Mad Max about to implode on the American people. People were panicking. If you don't remember, it was a complete and utter panic. Many people thought that we were going straight into a depression for multiple decades. Washington Mutual soon collapsed to zero. The whole banking infrastructure had a bank run. Every single U.S. Wall Street too big to fail bank, from J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bankrupt of America, and others, collapsed in a digital bank run to zero. And it was only for the U.S. taxpayer bailout system that they survived. So I give you that little brief history because very few people out there in our world today even understand what they're looking at. But you do. We do. Because you're following this channel and you're sharing our content. And I'm a Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain expert who's made you rich and has traveled all over the world the last 20 years and got it right, and proved that living eyewitness testimony over and over again to millions of you all tuning in over and over again. Again, it reminds me of scripture, which we're actually going to read some today. Do not be seeking the bread of this world, but be seeking the bread of everlasting life. Can I get an amen and a hallelujah? Very few of you, some of you still don't get it. You don't understand what kingdom wealth truly is. And I'm here to break that down and share it with you, and also give you solutions and tools for what's happening now. So let's explain this in a very commonsensical way. Very few Americans even understand the difference between nominal and real interest rates. They have no idea even what that means. For example, the U.S. stock market is trading at a new all-time high. We've never seen anything like this in the history of the world. In fact, by every traditional measurement, it's worse than pre-2008-09, worse than the internet bubble of the 1999 dot-com 2000s, worse than the lead up to 2008-09, 2020, and any other historical period that we've tracked thus far. 1929, the great crash of 1987. However, things are a little different this time from the standpoint we've never lived in history where the dollar, the old fiat system, is officially collapsed against real assets. So the nominal revenues that affect things like price to earnings ratio and other metrics like the Warren Buffett indicator, for example, you probably hear on CNBC.com, really aren't as accurate as you might think, because all the revenues coming into companies are now nominal revenues that aren't really one-to-one in real terms. For example, as the US dollar continues to collapse like a $2 hooker tramp, okay, real assets continue to skyrocket like here at the Island Project. Gold, silver, physical stuff, commodities go up. Not necessarily because the real assets are becoming more valuable, but your trash, piece of crap, fake US dollars not worth toilet paper to wipe your dirty bunghole with are worth nothing. So there's a difference between nominal and real. For example, even this Rolex has appreciated like twice its value since I bought it. My other Rolex has gone up like 40% in a year. Because again, it's actually like in demand and has desirability, and they only make like 1,000 of them, and it's also pure gold. So again, as gold breaks new all-time highs in real terms against the nominal trash prostitute that is the U.S. Federal Reserve cranked, crooked bailout system, you have to keep that in perspective. And that is why I think the so-called bubble lasts far longer than many of you expect. And I call it the up-only hyperinflationary collapse, which I've been right about. Again, so many of you all told me things like, Christopher, well, the real estate prices are going to collapse because of the lockdowns in 2020. I said, no, the opposite's going to happen. All the wealthy and rich people are going to buy real assets to bank themselves, and they're going to exit the system in the too big to fails. And that's what they did. Real estate prices in Maui, for example, have tripled in some cases. Many of the homes that I personally own have tripled in value since 2020. In 5 years, we've tripled our money in Hawaii. So I just want you to keep that in mind. It's been a freaking triple because, again, your dollar is trash and your politicians are criminals. Feel free to revolt peacefully at any time or don't. Again, the Declaration of Independence in 1776 was declared by our private ecosystem here at islandproject.com. It's why we've successfully fulfilled our 3-year roadmap, and the Founders Round is now officially closed. You missed it. Deck 2 is being launched on our roadmap. And by the way, I have very exciting announcements coming, which you'll hear about this at school first, not just for Deck 2, but our private newsletter coming out for all the amazing things that we're going to be doing as we fulfill our public launch later this year. This is when we go public to billions now, guys. We're the first venture capital private founding event with no bank debt that is now tokenizing a multi-billion-dollar asset class, tokenized real estate, which I invented, along with my father, our team, and our members. Invented it. We're the first people in the world of the Guinness Book of World Records, literally, seriously, Live Your Investment registered trademark, that has ever successfully fractionalized and democratized ownership in a piece of the rock of a portfolio of beach, oceanfront, massive ski lodges in places like Park City, Utah. We've done it. So you remember when the old cowboys used to go out west and plant their flag and take what was theirs? We've already done it. We've dominated because we've understood not just financially what's coming with our acumen as experts in the field, but secondly, biblically speaking, what also is coming. Just like Lot was warned to leave with his wife before the essential bombing of Sodom and Gomorrah with fire and brimstone. So that's what's hitting America now. And you must understand, as the dollar collapses nominally in a very real way against real world assets and what's physical, you'd be better off just owning Rolexes. Honestly, even if you don't invest with me, just buy 100 Rolexes. Put them in a safe, and that'll be worth more than the crushing debt of the US dollar. You could buy anything, corn futures, corn commodity, like whatever, physical stuff. Like, I'm not even joking, Beanie Babies are worth more than the piece of crap turd that is the US dollar. The US dollar is such a piece of crap. It is literally the worst value store that you could possibly own. And here's why. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, our greatest president, is actually bringing forth the reset. And soon the entire world will understand. As 41 trillion, and by the way, if you don't already know, the reset, we've been in it, but it was officially declared the new Bretton Woods economic order has been established. The new Bretton Woods 3.0, yesterday, September 1st, 2025 on Labor Day. So let's explain what's happening. The U.S. bond market is blowing up before your very eyes. If you're in a U.S. bank, you will lose everything in a bank run. 100%. 100%. You will lose everything. If you've got your money in stocks, good luck. If you have your money in money market funds, supposedly backed by the USD, good luck to you. Enjoy collapse. If you own fake derivative ETFs, which are IOU fake notes on top of fake IOUs, or other instruments of derivatives like index funds, good luck to you and sayonara. Enjoy collapse and hyperinflation, because that's what's going to happen to you. Again, the best assets in the world are real physical stuff like the real estate, the prized real estate they don't want you to own in places like Maui and Hawaii and Park City and Palm Beach and all the exclusive resort areas and homes in that $5 million plus range, which is the bread and butter of what the Island Project owns. We don't own a normal house. We own billionaire row, which is why our assets continue to hyper appreciate. It's why gold is breaking new all-time highs overnight. A record of 3,500. You guys, you are so welcome. You are honestly, feel free to leave more thanks. I've sold so much gold, hundreds of millions of dollars in aggregate gold sales since I've been in business. You're welcome. New record all-time highs across gold, soon to be silver. Is there an asset that I have recommended on this channel that hasn't soared to new all-time highs? Gold and silver skyrocket, and you've seen nothing yet as Bitcoin also skyrockets as it's become a gold standard equivalent in the digital age. By the way, I'm foaming from the mouth right now, honestly. Do you know how cheap Bitcoin is at 110K? It's like looking at Bitcoin at 3,500 in 2020 to me right now. Like, honestly, 110K is so freaking cheap. You're an idiot not to buy it. You heard it here. I want you to come back to this video, honestly, in a couple of months from now. Bitcoin's going to be trading above 150K. And I know I'm so honest, sometimes people don't like my honesty, but come back to the video in about a month. Bitcoin will be trading above 150K. So I'm telling you straight up, you're an idiot not to buy Bitcoin here. Like, who are the guys? The Three Stooges? It's kind of like that, like Three Stooges. Most Americans looking at Bitcoin, thinking it's expensive when it's actually cheap. Again, the US dollar is finished. The whole system is blown up by design and intentionally. As they move you into the physical reset of stable coins, which I predicted, and a Bitcoin standard, which I predicted, recommended, and invested in. And as they reset that system into a new digital order, and now they have authorized, as a matter of national defense, national security, strategic reserve, and a new Bitcoin blockchain standard of which Donald Trump has declared himself king of the new Bitcoin epic and Bitcoin country here in the United States, along with a host of crypto assets, which, you know, everyone told me, oh, they're going to ban it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you're an idiot. They won't ban it. They'll be buying it. They'll be authorizing it. Whoever's the next president is going to be called the Bitcoin president. I was right about that too. So many long days and hours and months and years of people telling me, Christopher, you're going to be sorry that Bitcoin's going to zero. No, the exact opposite has happened, folks. Myself, our members, our community, the Island Project, wealthier than has ever been before. The balance sheet, our assets have only gone up. Because again, we're right. The American people, the majority, have always are every single time wrong. That's why most people are poor and broke, and very few people are rich. Again, a lot of people take advice from people that are also broke. They're like, well, I don't know. My parents said, I'm like, are your parents rich? No, actually, they're broke. They're always constantly struggling. Why would you take advice from broke people then? And they're like, oh yeah, that's probably not too smart. Only take advice from people that actually walk the walk, that have gotten it right. Donald Trump just launched World Liberty Fi yesterday, a very successful launch. Did exactly what I said it was going to do, by the way, in my emergency video update privately at school. For those of you that don't know, I'm not going to give too much, but I basically said exactly what happened with the launch. And if you're smart, you'll be in my club because I tell you exactly what to do now. How to literally exactly set up your asset allocation with the various crypto assets, hold that, reallocate, and then as I introduce more technologies, it's the perfect recipe that will help you thrive during dollar collapse, world war, and future lockdowns. Those are coming. I'm so sorry to break it to you folks. You will be under martial law soon as well because of your compliance. Not you, not my audience, not us. We don't comply to anything. That's why we're rich. That's why we do as we please. That's why we serve God. That's why we don't wear diapers on our mouth. Do you understand? It's also why we own Bitcoin. Diamond nuts. But I'm really sorry to tell you that worse lockdowns are coming. Financial lockdowns are coming to your bank. You will not be able to withdraw funds. You won't even be allowed to move your money into crypto soon during the emergency crisis event. Now look, there's certain things Donald Trump is in control over. There's certain things he's not. Even he can't stop what's coming. So I think it's likely Donald Trump probably will declare some kind of emergency order at some point to stop the panic withdrawals from U.S. financial institutions, which is happening now. If you don't know, as Bitcoin goes higher, that means more money is coming out of the traditional banking system. That means Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup and Bank of America and Wells Fargo are going broke. Because if they don't have any reserves, which are set at zero, a lot of you never even look this stuff up. Reserve rates at banks are zero. Your system is such a criminal scam that the banks in the United States don't even have to hold a reserve requirement. I want you to think about that. And you've got a bunch of idiotic, dumbed down Americans holding their money in a bank thinking that the FDIC insurance coverage is going to cover their $250. You're out of your freaking mind. You will be hosed. You will be battered. You will be locked down like a bitch. Once again, worse than 2020. But this time it just won't be your physical body. It's going to be your assets. Again, sovereign governments that tax you into infinity do not want you in control of your own money. For every $5,000 you pay in taxes in your lifetime, over about the average lifespan of about 80 plus years, like 78, I guess, for a man, which is the official statistic. You know how much that is over a compounded interest rate of 10%? Just 5K. $5,000, this is basic math, compounded at 10%, annualized, annually for about 78 years is over, what is that? It's over 8 million. So I want you to think about that. As American idiots think they're getting a fair trade in like a couple $1,000s of like Social Security monthly, right? But doesn't keep up with inflation. Or, oh, Elon Musk says there's going to be universal peasant income coming, UBI. You think you're getting a good deal paying into the system. Dude, you get bitch slapped and hosed left and right. Every $5,000 is over $8 million that could be going to your heirs. These are just facts. Again, even my father has said this. He said, Christopher, my gosh, with what Donald Trump has exposed, he says even if 50% of the corruption is accurate in Washington, I mean, how would Americans ever want to pay a single tax again? Like if Nancy Pelosi and the criminal Democrats are literally racketeering in Washington on the daily, why would you ever want to contribute to those thugs? These are just honest questions. Again, I pay my taxes. I do what I have to do. I mean, it is what it is. But that's also why we have a plan B. My question for you is, do you have a plan B? See, this is a plan B. We're an internationalized, diversified, soon-to-be private ecosystem portfolio going public. Do you understand what that means? That means we have access, sovereignty, freedom, and liberty worldwide. We don't need any crummy government. We're our own sovereign nation city-state, built by God. It's called the Digital Noah's Diamond Nuts Ark for a reason. Again, I'm bringing the heat today because a lot of you still need to wake up. You're so, not you, not my core group. You know, I'm preaching to the choir here. But so many dumbed down Americans have grown so complacent. You know, they were really freaked out in 2020, but now that, you know, their Netflix shows are back on or whatever it is, they're just, oh, everything's fine. You know, just getting all fat and stuff and just eating Doritos all day long, like just growing obese. People are so fat nowadays in America, and God bless, like I'm not saying anything against it, like, Everyone's got problems like, hey, get back in shape if you're on the wrong side. I even read about a guy tragically who died in Arizona. He was so fat that in the 110-degree weather, this is emblematic of America's chaos. Really, really nice Christian man out in Arizona. God rest his soul, praying for him. Okay, but literally died in his bed because he couldn't move. And his air conditioning broke in 110 degrees, and he's so fat, so obese, he couldn't even get out of bed to save his life. That's America, guys. America is a giant fat ass and a piece of crap that is bankrupt, broke, in debt, and criminally being run, mostly by the radical leftist cuck deep state. And Americans are getting tragically hosed left and right. I mean, think about the bitch slapping that went on in 2008-09. There weren't even riots in the United States after that. Literally, the deep state and Jamie Dimon stole trillions of dollars in taxpayer money. There wasn't even a freaking simple protest. That just goes to show you that, honestly, from that perspective, I don't like to say these things, but it's kind of like the American people deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, if they're not going to revolt, they kind of deserve to get hosed. Don't you think? Like, again, I fight back. I don't comply. I told you that bullshit in 2020 was lies, right? And now you see it coming out, and guess who was right? General Greene once again. In fact, Donald Trump himself even has those big companies under the microscope today, exposing the truth. He's about to throw all of it out. Because again, we're always ahead of the curve because we're not idiots. You know what Americans lack? Critical thinking skills. Dumb as dirt. I'm bringing the heat today, and there's a reason for it. It actually comes from a place of love. Because there should be a healthy sense of fear. Because if you trust your government, I'm telling you straight up, you're going to lose all your money in the coming weeks and months, and your retirement accounts are going to zero. And your purchasing power will be a dog turd. And you'll never own a house again. And most Americans won't ever again. Do you know, for example, Donald Trump is about to declare a national housing emergency? They might even get rid of property taxation in some cases. And guess what that tells you? Guess what that tells you and is a sign of? That tells you property values ain't coming down, because if it's a crisis and a political talking point, that means they've got to address something that's a problem that they can't fix. So guess what's going to happen? More hyperinflation, more unaffordability, and your kids and most of your grandkids are going to be priced out of this forever, which is why I invented it. We are the only company in the world that invented something truly democratic where everyone could access. That has never, ever been done before, because you and we and I are the resistance. See, we're fighting Goliath with solutions, while others, and we know who these people are, man, apathetic and lazy and, have nothing to offer. It's kind of like the critic and cynic syndrome. The people that always criticize others but take no action themselves. They always have an opinion, right? But have nothing to show for anything, right? It's like they have an opinion about everything: money, success, power, politics. But you look at their lives, and their lives are like, well, what have you done? Oh, nothing. Those people, most of people in America, most people worldwide aren't in the ring. They're afraid to fight. As I come hard today, and I bring the heat in a very controversial, non-PC way, I do that for a reason, because again, I'm not here necessarily for you to always like me. I'm here to just tell the truth and help get you ready and prepared. That's the honest to gosh truth. It's why I work so hard. It's why I've done everything that I've done over the near 20 years. It's why I've made you rich, because it ain't about the money, guys. It's about kingdom wealth. You remember when Jesus fed the 5,000? Because I'm going to read you a story. It's important. It's important that we get ready for the return of God. It's important that we get ready now. After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. Then a great multitude followed him because they saw his signs, which he performed on those who were diseased. And Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. Now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread, that these may eat?" But this he said to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. One of his disciples, Andrew Simon, Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many?" Then Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number of about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples, and the disciples to those sitting down, and likewise of the fish, as much as they wanted. So he feeds 5,000 from a few loaves of bread and fish. So when they were filled, he said to his disciples, "Gather up on the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost." And therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. Then those men who they had seen the sign that Jesus did said, "This is truly the prophet who is to come into the world." Then, of course, is the famous scripture of an eyewitness account of Jesus Christ walking on water. But I bring us to the bread of life. I'm reading from John chapter 6, verse 22. I am the bread of life. And this is after Jesus already committing a miracle, already making a miracle, feeding 5,000 people. On the following day, with just a few loaves of bread and fish. On the following day, when the people who were standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there, except that one which his disciples had entered, and that Jesus had not entered the boat with his disciples, but his disciples had gone away alone. However, other boats came from Tiberias, near the place where they ate bread after the Lord had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, they also got into boats and came to Capernaum, seeking Jesus. And when they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, "Rabbi, when did you come here?" Jesus answered them and said, "Most assuredly I say to you, you seek me, not because you saw the signs of his miracles, but because you ate of the loaves and were filled. Do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give you, because God the Father has set his seal on him." Many of this world will have the seal and do have the seal of Satan. Few have the seal of God. Jesus reminds us not to fixate on being satiated by the world and by hunger in the traditional sense of loaves of bread as he fed the 5,000, but to thirst and have hunger for the tree of life and everlasting salvation. And then they said to him, "Well, what shall we do that we may work the works of God?" Jesus answered and said to them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he sent." He's telling you, faith alone brings salvation, not works. Therefore they said to him, "What sign will you perform then?" So the idiotic masses, once again, after witnessing an exact in-your-face miracle, literally 5,000 being fed by Jesus from a few loaves of bread and fish, still in their clamoring idiocy, test Jesus by asking him, "What sign will you perform next, that we may see and believe you?" After they've literally witnessed him feed 5,000 and walk on water, for crying out loud. "What work will you do?" they ask. Never getting enough, never being satisfied. just arrogance of the general dumbed down population sheep. Our fathers ate the manna in the desert, as it is written. He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Jesus responds. Then Jesus said to them, most assuredly I say to you, Moses did not give you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. So they're testing Jesus because they want to see an even greater miracle than walking on water or feeding the 5,000 from a few loaves of bread and fish. They want to see what Moses had provided through God the Father in the 40 years in the wilderness. Then they said to him, Lord, give us this bread always. And Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and the one who comes to me I will by no means cast out. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me, referring to the will of God. This is the will of the Father, who sent me, that of all he has given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up at the last day. And this is the will of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. And the Jews complain about him then, and they say, and he says, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, is not this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then he says, I have come down from heaven? So again, that's kind of cliche, but also representative of how Jesus' own people didn't believe. Like where he was born, it's like, oh, we know Jesus. He was born to Joseph and Mary. He's just a regular dude, right? That his disciples and the people that believed in him weren't even from where he was from. Ladies and gentlemen, I come to you today with the bread of life. I serve his will alone. Stop focusing on the bread of this world and understand what making bread, kingdom wealth, truly is all about. The time is short, and no man knows the day and hour. And the wrath of God and judgment is here, and he's coming. Again, the reason why the world sucks is because the people have been left to their own devices. You know, the compliers that do what they're told, that don't fight back, the people that don't revolt against the evil empire, the people that don't focus on solutions, the people that are apathetic and losers and do nothing to actually help others, that simply just focus on worldly desires and the bread of this world. Folks, I am living testimony, and I do not pretend to be perfect. I am an imperfect vessel. Anyone that knows me, and this includes our members, and anyone that has followed this channel for 20 plus years, or soon to be 20 years, and all of my close confidants, family, friends, loved ones, my father, my wife, they will all tell you there is one person they know that outworks every single other person they have ever witnessed. And guess who that person is? I think you know. But here is the question: why? Why? And I want you to be thinking about this. I want you to be thinking about this today. Why? Then they said to him, Lord, give us this bread always. And Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and the one who comes to me I will by no means cast out. For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. Also notice Jesus had to perform miracles for some people to believe in him. Okay, we even hear this from the world. Well, if I don't see Jesus, I can't believe in him. In fact, the disciples saw the miracles, but I didn't see the miracles. So Jesus knew when he was on earth that he did have to create a little bit of a marvel of himself. Do you understand? He had to literally walk on water. Otherwise, he knew they probably wouldn't believe. He had to feed all the 5,000, heal the paralytic, and do all those, bring people from deafness to hearing, and cure eyesight, because he knew otherwise people just wouldn't believe. I mean, the idiotic masses kind of need to see a Barnum and Bailey circus sometimes. Do you understand? So I sit here today with a warning, not just of the economic collapse, not just of an action-oriented solution set for you to take charge in your own life, not only to convince you that the time is now and that the hour is near to get ready, but also to explain to you, if you don't already know, the purpose of our mission here at the Island Project and the Digital Noah's Ark. My father told me a few days ago, he said, Christopher, the difference between you and a lot of other people is that you're a good Christian man, and people want to do business with you because you offer more than everyone else can offer them. Because you're actually good. I'm not saying we're perfect, we're not. And it's the same with my father. Because we go the extra mile. Do you understand? We feed the 5,000. We showcase miracles. Folks, I was sent to do his will. Do you understand? Yeah, we can show the miracles. My crypto courses have made many of you millions of dollars and rich. You're welcome. Just like Jesus fed the 5,000 for a reason. But that is not the purpose of our mission. Our purpose is much bigger. All these things are tools at the Digital Noah's Ark. We are the Christian baller billionaire class for a reason. We have been sent and discipled as disciples and his living word to do big things while we still can, to fight back as a Christian collective. That is why we are here, to feed the masses, to show them the way, to expose the truth, and to lead by example, and to protect them from the horrors that are coming. Let's keep in mind, a lot of churches nowadays really water things down. God is love, and that is the number one thing that God is. But with love comes judgment. You will be judged. I will be judged. These evildoers will be judged. There is judgment, and there is also love. Upon the rapture, being called up, and upon the return and the second coming of Christ, he is coming with wrath and fire at the next turn of events. He is coming with a sword, double-edged out of his mouth, which I encourage you to read. And he is coming, not with vengeance because he is a loving God, but with judgment. Eternal damnation and the abomination of desolation is a choice that the American people and citizens worldwide are making now. And hell is only representative of a willful denial and specific self-determination through free will to separate yourself from the one true King and God himself. To deny Jesus Christ, the Messiah, is to deny God the Father. I sit here today and I come hard, I come with conviction, and I come with a sense of urgency that your time to act is now. Contact my father at 808-442-2934, RSVP your spot. at deck 2, on deck 2, on board the Ark. I'll have more updates on that very soon. And watch my key video at islandprojectclub.com while you still can. If you wait till tomorrow, I'm telling you, it's going to be too late. If you wait, it's going to be too late. You need to sign up and subscribe at the card here or down below now at islandprojectclub.com. Again, stop focusing on the bread of this world and start focusing on the bread of the kingdom. The secret to my success is not myself. It's God. The secret to the success of the Digital Noah's Ark, it is not my father, okay? And it's not even my members. It's God. We serve God. Do you understand? And it's why we are winning. David had extreme confidence, but not just confidence, faith, when he took down Goliath with a single pebble shot. Just like when I threw a Hail Mary pass 3 years ago for the Island Project, and Papa John caught it in the end zone with the tip of his fingers one-handed. It's faith. Faith first, God first, always wins. Jesus Christ is coming back soon, and I, as his disciple, and you, as his messengers, and the Navy SEAL team for God, now set sail at the Digital Noah's Ark to the kingdom of heaven and beyond. Are you looking up? Because it's up only. It's freaking up only, guys. 1,000 freaking X. On board, get in and prepare yourself, because for what is coming next, this will be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah, financially speaking. Bank runs are coming.